Hi girls and friends, it's Jennifer, and for today's video we are going to try to make crystals. And when I say that we're trying, that's because I have no idea if this is going to work. I've tried twice now as practice to make my own crystals, and it hasn't really worked out the way I wanted it to. So I made a little letter G for Girls Ink, and the first time I tried, nothing happened, and it was just kind of this white powder that formed instead of crystals. The second time, and I'll take a picture maybe to insert so you can see it better, but I did get some crystals to form, and they're pretty fragile and they're kind of falling off. So I want to try again, and I want to see if I can make this work. I'm really not sure why my crystals aren't working, but I want to try to figure it out. So to make my little G, I used this kind of sparkly pipe cleaner, and I'm wondering, because it's kind of like a plasticky feeling rather than a soft fabric like a normal pipe cleaner, I'm wondering if maybe that affects the outcome of my crystals. So what I'm going to try is I'm going to do another one with a sparkly pipe cleaner. I have an eye so I can have Girls Ink. And then I'm going to make a J for Jennifer with the soft fabric-y type of pipe cleaner. And then I'm also going to try where I've seen people twist pipe cleaners together, just like this, and it ends up kind of looking like a gemstone. So I'm going to try sparkly pipe cleaner and fabric pipe cleaner. And I want to see if maybe fabric works better than the sparkly kind, or if I'm just not good at making crystals. Here's the close-up view of my G with some crystals on it. You can see it's mostly just kind of this white powder that formed, but there are places where I got some pretty good-sized crystals. So I want to figure out how I can make those big crystals all over my pipe cleaner. To make your crystals, you will need borax, which is just a type of cleaner usually found in the laundry aisle. And of course, you'll need pipe cleaners. You'll also need a jar with some boiling hot water, and then a way to suspend your pipe cleaner so that they don't touch the bottom of the jar. So I'm using this pencil and a piece of string to tie to the pipe cleaner and hold it up. So you'll see what that looks like when I actually get this going. The first step to making our crystals is to boil some water. Ask an adult for help with this step because you can burn yourself on boiling water. I've already added borax to the bottom of my jar, and I'm just guessing how much I want, as I can add more borax later. You should notice that the borax dissolves in the water as we add it in, meaning that you can't see it anymore. What we're creating is a solution, which is a mixture of two substances where one is dissolved in the other. We want to create a saturated solution, which means that we want to add more borax than what can be dissolved in the water. The water becomes totally saturated or totally full of borax, and we can see a little borax settling on the bottom of the jar. The reason we're using hot water is because hot water can hold more borax than cold water, which is going to be better for making our crystals. If you were to do this with cold water, you would notice that the water would become completely saturated a lot faster. We also want the cooling process to be slow so that the crystals have time to form. If our solution immediately got cold, like if you were to put it in the freezer, the crystals would not have time to form. To slow down the cooling process, I'm going to cover my jar in a towel to help keep some heat in the jar longer. And now I'm going to leave this to sit overnight, and I'll check on it tomorrow. Here's what my jar looks like the next day. You can see that there are crystals around the edges of the jar, and when we look inside, my pipe cleaner has developed crystals as well. I think when I put my towel on my jar, I moved my pipe cleaner too much, and instead of floating in the water, it was touching the bottom of the jar. This means that my pipe cleaner crystallized to the bottom of the jar, and I had to rip it off, which took some of the crystals off the bottom, and it kind of messed up my eye shape, but that's okay because I'm just excited that it worked. So I was originally thinking that maybe these sparkly pipe cleaners just couldn't form crystals because they're the wrong kind of material, but clearly this one did work. So I want to keep testing my other pipe cleaners to see if I can figure out why I couldn't get this to work the first two times, but this time did work. Next I tried my J-shaped pipe cleaner, which was the normal kind of pipe cleaner, not sparkly, and you can see here that that didn't really work. I have a few crystals on the bottom, but not very many formed, not nearly as much as that I-shaped pipe cleaner did. I decided to try my J-shaped pipe cleaner again using the same process. I also got 2 more jars so that I could try my 2 ball shapes of pipe cleaner at the same time. You can see that the J-shaped one worked this time and has crystals all over it. However, my regular pipe cleaner in the ball shape only has a couple crystals on it, so it didn't really work. But my sparkly pipe cleaners in the ball shape did work wonderfully. I love how this turned out, and I think it almost looks like a piece of gold or some kind of gemstone. I really want to know why this worked sometimes and not other times. So in a real scientific experiment, following the scientific method, you would want to isolate one variable that changes. A variable could be anything from the type of pipe cleaner, the shape of the pipe cleaner, the type of jar, how much borax, the temperature of the water. You would want to pick one thing to change and do it in different iterations or do it different times to see how that change affects the results. But I don't have enough pipe cleaners or enough borax to do all those different tests, so I'm going to make some inferences or educated guesses about what worked and what didn't. When I first tested my G-shaped pipe cleaner, the weather outside was really hot, and I wonder if the heat affected the cooling time in some way, preventing crystals from forming. My best guess is maybe the water stayed too warm for too long, and so crystals couldn't form. With every other pipe cleaner I used, it was much cooler out, and so that's the main difference between my first pipe cleaner tests and the other ones. With the I-shaped pipe cleaner, it developed more crystals, and I wonder if that's because it was touching the bottom of the jar and made it easier for the crystals to grow up it. With the J-shaped crystal, I don't have any good ideas what made it different, except for maybe the shape of it made it harder for the crystals to grow. With my regular pipe cleaner ball, I found that when I emptied the water out, there weren't as many borax crystals on the bottom and the sides of the jars as the other jars. The jar I used for this one was this purple jar, and I think the color of the jar prevented me from seeing how much borax was dissolved in the water, and maybe I didn't put enough in. With my final crystal, I think I must have had the right amount of borax, the right cooling time with the water, and a good shape for growing crystals. Do you have any other ideas why some of my crystals worked and some did not? What would you do differently if you were to try to grow your own crystals? What do you think is the most important variable in growing crystals? Can you think of any other times when you've made inferences to help you solve a problem? Remember, if you try to grow your own crystals at home, feel free to take pictures and share them with us through Instagram, Facebook, or email.